Have you ever felt that a mixture of hope and doubt when you receive an invitation that looked different from all the others? One time, after so many times that it's hard to feel included, is finally given an opportunity to be present, to be a part of something special. So, the question begs, is that this time, things would be different? That is, the sense of exclusion would be left behind, giving way to an experience of the union, and is the host. This is a question that many of us carry, especially when it comes to family gatherings and social, where, in many cases, the simple act of being in a place that does not guarantee that you will feel truly welcome. This is a morning in which the heart beats with anticipation, a time of celebration. The call comes in, and as I read it, a hope, a silent indicator lights up. This might be an opportunity to leave behind the old aches and pains to show that, in spite of everything, there is still room for the joy of it. But at the same time, this feeling comes with a certain amount of anxiety, as a fear subtle than in the past to repeat itself was hidden in the back of each and every word of it. Have you ever gone through something like this? The feeling that, even if someone invites you, the gesture may be hiding a deeper meaning, and a message of quiet that only someone who lived it knows how to interpret it. Stay with me until the very end. That is what I've got to share. You will be surprised. Because sometimes what appears to be a simple celebration that shows the true, things that are far beyond what the eye can see. And what comes next will make you think about how small actions, gestures, and details that seemingly minor carries a huge weight on the building of relationships. Have you ever noticed that sometimes the way someone treats you says more than words? It is the space that is reserved for the position you are in. It can be the signs of silent acceptance and/or rejection. These questions seem simple, but they do have a profound impact on our history and how we feel about the world around us. And then, in a next step, we're going to explore just that, beginning with the invitation, which at first sight it seemed a bit different from all the others. If you've ever gone through a situation where you realize that the silence, the gesture of someone else carried it over the meaning of a conversation is a long one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These small actions often go unnoticed, but they reveal the truths that we don't always get to express it in words. It is in the universe and the signs of the invisible we can learn a lot about ourselves and the people around you. If this topic makes no sense to you, leave it here in the comments on what you played, or any of the experience you have already lived for related to it. Your story may help someone else who is going through something like that, and to strengthen our community and to exchange of experience. In addition to this, if you like the content that exploits these deeper aspects of the human behavior, and don't forget to like the video, your like is what is driving the channel to keep bringing relevant issues and talking to people. And of course, subscribe to the channel to not miss the next parts of this conversation. Your participation here is the key, so that more people are able to reflect on the power of the movement and the simple actions. You will often say much more than words, so we can go on together, learn and grow, and with this the power to change and empathy. And it gets to me, because there is a lot more to come on this journey of discovery. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because they understand the impact of our daily decisions. Many times, it reveals a truth that hides that very few get to see. We tend to think that the big change will only take place with the actions of the great, but the real power lies in the consistency of the small choices to make. It's as if every gesture, however small it may seem to you, it was like a seed planted in the routine, and it is going to grow over time, and in turn, our journey, in ways that have not even imagined. This is an awareness that our actions every day to shape our own destiny is what separates the people who live in the stems of the one who really take control of your own career. If you think about it, I realize that a lot of times in the Sabatimos, as we believe that your success, happiness, or fulfillment comes from achievements at a glance, from the moments of the great, which seems to change everything all at once. But the truth is that the most profound impact happens in the routine and repetition, in the course of silence than to do what is right even when no one is looking. It is at this pace, it's our way of thinking turns out, that the strength of our values and we've built a solid foundation to weather any storm. Because deep down, the real transformation is about to change, at one time or another, but rather evolve in a continuous way, adjusting the small actions that, taken together, they create a new reality. And it is this change in its internal structure, the evolution of the mind, that is the thing that really makes all the difference in the behind the scenes of our lives. It is a revelation that a lot of times it's hidden underneath the surface, hidden by the limiting belief or fear of going out of your comfort zone. When we begin to look beyond the surface, we find that the force that keeps us going is that which comes from the decisions that we take in the silence of your everyday life. And in those moments of decision, it is often simple to do. Carry the load of an impact that goes above and beyond what we could ever imagine. It's as if you're writing a narrative in the invisible, in which each chapter is built on the simple actions that, taken together, they create a story of overcoming, growing, and authenticity. In the process of self-discovery, one thing has become clear. It is a truth that is hidden by the back of the success, is that it is not the result of luck or external circumstances, but we are well aware that our choices define who we are. And it is precisely this awareness that needs to be done day in and day out, with mindfulness thoughtfulness and genuine commitment. When we started to see the value of each individual decision-making, we can begin to understand what the impact is not only in the immediate result, but in the spirit of what we are building for the future. It is at this point that the real power of transformation is revealed, not as an isolated event, but as a solid construction and a journey that demands courage, commitment, and a clear vision of where we want to go. Thinking about it, it all leads us to reflect on our history and about the times in which we, by the way, more easily, or so that seem to be the most comfortable for you. With these choices, too many times, and seem to be small, but they carry the potential impact is huge because it will determine the pace of our progress. When you understand that every day is a new opportunity to do something different, to act with more intention, and to strengthen our minds, we take a major step toward the growth of the real. Thus, every decision becomes a very important part in the construction of a narrative of the conquest, self-confidence, and authenticity that goes beyond the surface or of the achievements of the outside. And it is at this point that we begin to realize that the transformation we seek is not something that happens from the outside in, but from the inside to the outside. She was born in the country, on our ability to make decisions in our own strength of will, and in our willingness to keep going, even in the face of difficulties. After all, it is the most lasting impact comes from what you do when no one is looking at the attitudes of internal shape our character and define who we really are. It is this awareness that makes all the difference in your journey, because when we understand, we begin to act with more purpose, more aligned with our values, and make sure that every step, no matter how small, is making a profound difference, and it is true. Right now, I want you to go even deeper into this question, because once you understand, our everyday decisions are the cornerstone of our development. We can begin to see just how much we are responsible for every detail of our story. And this responsibility is often seen as a weight. And in fact, it is an opportunity to engage with the real power for change lies within us. It is as if we are waking up to a new reality, where every choice is a chance to rewrite our narrative, to create a version that is more aligned with our purpose and what really matters to you. And in the process, we have found that the most lasting impact is not in the achievement, but in the sum of all small efforts, aware of the fact that, together, we build a path to authenticity and performance. For this reason, when you think about all of this, it is clear that our way of the transformation, it is a building of the day, and it requires attention, bravery, and a mindset that is open to the revelations of their own way in the shows. It's a constant search for the alignment of who we are, what we want to do, and the decisions we make to get us there. And in doing so, we realize that the truth is hidden behind the change is, in fact, it's a simple yet powerful, and the understanding that we are the authors of our own story, and each decision is a page that is we wrote in our stock. And when you understand it, and the impact of our choices, no longer something random to make it a tool of self-discovery, and development of a long-lasting impact on our lives and those around us. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't just happen when we believe that we are the authors of our story, but when we see one of the more subtle layers that influence our daily decisions. Many times, when we are so immersed in the routine and in a rush in search for fast results, that we forget to look within and ask where they are from our true goal. The biggest revelation here is that our actions are shaped by a combination of factors, both conscious and unconscious, which often operate behind the scenes of the mind, creating an impact that is quiet but deep in our journey. To think that we are free to choose from it can all seem liberating, but it's the truth concealed is that our choices are often influenced by the patterns they have learned, their legacy, and the stories that we have from early childhood. In these stories, which are often deep-rooted in the experiences that you don't remember anymore, but they continue to influence our emotions, our decisions, and even the way in which we perceive the world. And as we begin to unravel those behind the scenes, invisible, we see that the true transformation requires courage, a huge facing of this truth, internal and often uncomfortable, and that prevent us from moving forward. On the basis of this understanding, the impact of each decision on whether to expand, it is not a matter of the act to act, but to act with a conscience, to choose from with the intention to do so. Every little decision, every action, every reaction, it is an opportunity to rewrite the page, to give you a more aligned with who you really are or want to become one. And it's this journey of self-discovery is one of the most important tools for transformation, as it allows us to see beyond the masks that we wear to protect ourselves or please each other. When you can't look inside you fairly, we have begun to realize that many of the obstacles that we face are, in fact, reflections of our own built-in limitations, or the stories we tell ourselves. It is liberating, as it gives us the power to rewrite this narrative. And in doing so, we understand that change is not something that happens overnight, but it is a continuous process of adjustment, of choices, and a mindset that values your growth. It is at this point in the processing, it becomes a journey of self-discovery, where every decision you make, with intention, it becomes a seed for a future that is more aligned with our deepest values. And along the way, we learn to recognize the small victories to celebrate each step forward, however small it may seem like it, because it's all this amounts to the construction of a new reality. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the main question that arises is, how can we transform this understanding into concrete actions that will really make a difference? How can we, in fact, rewriting of our history, and to have an impact not only our lives, but also to the world around us? These questions lead us to reflect on the power of the decision and the impact of our everyday choices, and the importance of maintaining a mentality that is open to the signs that stand in the way. After all, it is the journey of the transformation is ongoing, and each and every step is taken with the intent of bringing us closer to more and more of a pre-release version of the authentic and full of themselves. And it is at this point that we begin to understand that real change takes courage, humility, and a willingness for constant learning. Because many times, the biggest revelation to come out when we're ready to question everything you thought was true, and to challenge your limits, and to open up space for new possibilities. In this case, self-awareness, it becomes a very powerful tool, capable of illuminating those areas and more in the dark shadows of our minds, and help us to see the opportunities that, until then, had been hidden. Thus, in each decision-making has become an opportunity for growth, a chance to align with our dreams, our actions, and marking a positive impact on the trajectory that we're under construction. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. As you delve deeper in this world of self-discovery, we've begun to realize that many of our limitations are not imposed from the outside world, but for what we carry inside of us. These deep-seated beliefs and often unconsciously shape our decisions, our attitudes, and, as a consequence, the results we obtain in life. It is as if we are caught up in a web of invisible fabric by fears, insecurities, and past experiences that prevent us from moving forward in freedom and authenticity. And it is precisely at this point that the transformation to begin to happen in a more intense way, to relinquish those hidden truths, and to face what's really behind our actions. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. You know, when we begin to explore our own stories, we've found that many of our limiting beliefs that were created in childhood are influenced by the environment, the people around us, and by their own experiences of failure or rejection. These messages are often received without question conscious. They served as the absolute truth that is preventing us to see the different possibilities. It's as if it's a lens that distorted as he was blocking our view, making it so that you're not able to, they don't deserve it, or that the truth is something that is reserved for the few. And when we go on a journey of self-discovery, we began to realize that these lenses may be replaced by other, more clear and real, and that allows us to see the potential that was always there, hidden beneath the layers of uncertainty. When you do, this is the process of self-discovery. It is clear that our decisions are not just based on chance, but on the reflections of our beliefs and intimate. Each and every choice, whether it is small or big, it is a little bit more about who we are and what we value. And a lot of times, we end up living according to a guide that was written by someone else that we don't have anymore, or a version of ourselves that we believe may be unable to change it. So it's the true transformation happens when we are able to take on the role of the authors of our own stories, or writing a new chapter that is based on authenticity and the courage to face our own vulnerability and the willingness to continue to evolve. In the process, we also found that our mindset plays a crucial role in the construction of our reality. In a growth mindset, for example, it opens the door to learn from their mistakes and to see the obstacles as opportunities to learn and to keep a positive look at the face of difficulties. Already have a mentality to be fixed. On the other hand, it tends to reinforce the fear of failure to stop us Eskimos from the truth. It is as if we are stuck in an internal battle, in which our own mind is both an ally and enemy. And when you understand it, these built-in mechanisms, we are able to develop the most effective strategies to reprogram our minds and thereby promote our way of development. On the basis of these findings, it is also clear that the transformation is about having the courage to face uncomfortable truths, but it is at the same time make room for real growth. This is not a change in the surface or a simple change of routine, but it is a great internal change in the way we perceive ourselves and the world around us. It is during this process that we begin to question everything they have been taught, that it was a tax, and to look for a version that is closer to the truth and that is aligned with our deepest values. And the more we go in these behind the scenes in our own being, the more we realize that what seemed to be an insurmountable obstacle, it is, in fact, is an opportunity to strengthen our resilience and reaffirm our lives. The journey to self-knowledge, that is, without a doubt, one of the most challenging and at the same time, more freedom, which we can carry out. It takes patience, dedication, and a dose of humility to recognize our own shadows, without fear of facing up to them. And by the way, we saw the largest transformation takes place when we accept who we are, with all our imperfections, and is still moving forward with a purpose. This is a movement of acceptance and lifelong learning, that we find the power to rewrite our story, to align with our actions, our dreams, more of ourselves. And so, each and every decision goes on to reflect on a new mindset, with a new truth that we have created for ourselves, which is based on the courage to be truly free, free to be who we truly want to be. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this point of the transformation of the interior that so many people are beginning to understand something of what seemed to be an invisible, almost as if a truth is hidden, which insists on the need to stay hidden under the layers of insecurity and doubt. It is as if, for many years, we are committed to a narrative that someone else has built for us. It's a story that doesn't necessarily reflect who we are or who we will become. And for the big reveal, often it comes in the form of a sensation, to be silent, not a whisper, which insists on the need to echo in your mind. I can't do that, I guess. It is. You have the power to launch a revolution in our way of looking at life and in our own abilities. From the moment we start to question this narrative, to our understanding of the boundary begins to fade into the background. It is as if a curtain was slowly lifted up to reveal a stage in the broad, full of possibilities, and where before you only saw the shadow of fear and uncertainty. In the process of breaking old paradigms, I'm beginning to understand that our decision-making is not merely the result of chance, but a result of a mental construct that can be made at any time. And this realization is liberating because it gives you the power to choose from, with more awareness of what we really want in our lives, without being hostage to external expectations, or that which has been imposed by a society that is too often over the limit, rather than promote. The day of the change. So it is not a linear path, but it's a kind of a dance-off between who we are and who we can become. And this dance is performed step by step. Make choices every day that will in shaping our minds and strengthen our faith in our own capacity, etc. Every decision you make from a new perspective, it is a seed that is planted in the fertile ground of an open mind, and be open to the possibilities. And then, when you develop this mindset of growth, we begin to realize that our actions, no matter how simple they may seem, have a profound impact on me. Every action that is aligned to our values, the more genuine it becomes an act of courage, in a statement to you that we are determined to live according to the truth, regardless of what others might think. At the same time, this transformation reveals the aspects of ourselves that were previously hidden, such as talents, passions, and dreams that have been left behind out of fear, or a routine that seemed to be inevitable. It's that time of discovery. We understand that true freedom lies in being true to our inner selves, even if it means walking against the tide, or take a risk before you were avoiding it. This freedom is, in essence, it is a daily choice, a decision not to accept a version of ourselves that we do not comply, no longer to be satisfied with what's easy or safe, and to be free of these shackles and invisible. We can see the world with new eyes, and more aware of our own possibilities and impact of change. And it was in this movement of self-discovery which many have noticed that the real change is not dependent on external factors, such as, but to a change in its internal structure. From the decision of rewriting our story, a new narrative, one that is more in tune with our deepest desires. In this narrative, one that is born in the courage to face our fears and embrace our imperfections, it's the foundation of living a life more full, more authentic, and more meaningful life. And as their journey progresses, it becomes clear that the transformation is not something that happens to us at one time or another, but it's an ongoing process of evolution, in which each step reinforces our confidence that we are able to construct a reality that truly reflects who you are on the inside. I now want to go more in depth on this subject. It is because of this understanding, we can rewrite our stories at any moment. It is, in fact, it is one of the biggest keys to the truth it hides, that very few are able to see, that our life is not a fixed destination, but a journey of endless possibilities, shaped by the decisions we make today, right now, at this very moment. This awareness gives us an immense power to move forward, even in the face of hardship and uncertainty, because we all know that deep down inside, we all have the power to transform the impact of our actions would have on our own legacy. And it is this freedom that makes us think about the true meaning of success, happiness, and achievement. Taking us on a journey of self-discovery and growth is never ending, ever evolving, always revealing new layers of who we are, in fact. And when you go into detail about this perspective, we see that the real transformation is much more than goals or achievements that are, or external. It is in for a mindset that embraces the impermanence, which means that everything is constantly changing. And this change is, in fact, it is a chance to develop. So every obstacle, every challenge is a learning opportunity, a chance to reaffirm our faith in our ability to overcome and grow from. And in the process, you start to realize that the very essence of our way, that is not in the attainment of a specific result, but in the evolution of who we are along the way. It's a discovery that changes our relationship to time, our dreams, and even with all of our limitations. It's because we learn to see in them the potential for growth, rather than as insurmountable obstacles. All of this leads us to a deeper understanding of the impact our choices have on our reality. After all, what we choose to believe that what we feed our mind, and it certainly reflects in their attitude, and, as a consequence, the results we have achieved. When you begin to nurture a growth mindset, we attract experiences that are more aligned with the new vision of the world, creating a kind of virtuous cycle of development. From that point on, the history shall be written on with courage, authenticity, and purpose, which is, as we have become the protagonists of the assets in the building of our own destiny, rather than mere spectators, in a story that has been imposed on us by others or by random chance. This is a great eye-opener. That we are free to change is, above all, the ability to change the way we think, to know the truth, and move forward with confidence that each day is a new opportunity to be who you truly want to be. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me." I now want to go more in depth on this subject because, in truth, the real transformation begins there, in the most intimate part of each and every one of us, in our ability to see the world with brand new eyes, is to break down long-held beliefs, which are often made absolute, and that, in practice, to prevent us from moving forward. This is a change of perspective. It's like a new lens that reveals details of it before you went unnoticed, but when they are met, you may completely transform our understanding of who we are and what we can win, and the impact that our actions have on the universe around us. It is a kind of internal revolution, a revolution of the mindset that, in the majority of cases, it occurs in the form of silent, almost invisible, but they are able to generate profound effects on our journey of growth. Over time, I realized that many of our limitations are there to the outside, in society, in the system, or in the people around us and inside of us, the story we create about who we are and what they deserve. And it is this narrative, one that is more rigid and convincing as it may seem, it can be rewritten. This is the most important disclosure. You have the power to change the story we tell ourselves and to question the validity of one's own, and thus, to make room for a chance to be there, seem to be unattainable. In the process, and the courage to confront what we believe to be the essence of this is key, because often, the biggest obstacle is ourselves, trapped in a cycle of limiting thoughts, out of fears that seem to be the giant of the insecurity that feeds into a false sense of what the world can be a hostile place. To change this perspective requires an attitude of an observer, someone who is able to detach ourselves from the emotions, time-sensitive, and analyze the situation more clearly and rationally. It is as if it were a kind of detachment to the strategic, which allows you to see beyond what the eye sees on the surface. This is the ability to put yourself in the place of another, to understand that our experiences are only a small part of a much larger story. It broadens our empathy for us and helps us to understand the impact of our decisions go far beyond what we had imagined. For each choice, as small as it may seem to you, reverberates in our lives and in the lives of those around us, forming a chain of consequences that can be positive or negative, depending on how you interpret and act on them. And here comes a question that a lot of people still don't realize, that the freedom of the transform is not in the wait for the perfect conditions, in search of a magic formula, or to wait for the world to change you first. It is in our willingness to take responsibility for their own learning, to engage with the process, even though it is a challenge for us. It is an internal movement is continuous. It requires persistence and a keen eye for detail. After all, every small decision to change someone's attitude is to think different and act with courage, build a bridge, solid state course at our very best. And the bridge is made up of small daily actions. He is able to take us to a place before they seemed unreachable, to open the door to a new life, more in tune with what you really want. As I reflect back on all of this, it is clear that the impact of a change in perspective is something that is beyond the scope of the individual. When we know the truth, we inspire others to do the same, thus creating a domino effect of the transformation is that little by little, it will spread to communities, companies, and even for the whole society. And, in the process, we discovered that the real revolution starts within each one of us, the courage to look within, to confront our own boundaries, and to believe that, yes, it is possible to begin again, rewriting, and especially, continue to evolve. Because, deep down, this is the essence of the journey of transformation, the eternal search for a new meaning, a new version of ourselves that we are more in tune with our deepest truth. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me." Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the real change, is that it really is, and it happens only on the surface, under the action of visible, or in the words that you say so. She is in fact a transformation from quiet, barely visible, what happens behind the scenes in our minds and in our hearts. It is in the internal space of the house, and often unknown, the secrets, the most powerful of the progress should be saved. And this is where you begin your journey of discovery, where all the decisions, the most significant being made, often without you knowing it, and that it helps to shape our own destiny in a way that is beyond our imaginations. When we talk about transformation, we're talking about a change in the mindset of a breach of the vintage patterns that limit us, the courage to challenge what we believe to be the truth. But in order for this change to be real and lasting, it is necessary to go beyond the surface, to dive deep into our inner selves, and to understand that everything that we believe about ourselves has a direct influence our actions, our choices, and as a result, the impact that we make on the world around us. Many of the times, the more resistance we encounter on our journey of growth, it is not external but internal. It is the beliefs that are rooted in the fears are silent that we have, and our inability to see beyond what we have been taught. To explore many of these scenes, we can begin to uncover the truth hidden behind our own personal limitations. We have found that, for the most part, all of our major barriers that are in our head and our way of thinking is the main factor that determines determines whether or not we're going to move forward or stay stuck to what is wrong, what is stopping us from living a fuller life. It is at this point that, for the transformation reveals his true power, when we have the courage to confront our own thoughts are toxic, but wonder in the stories we tell ourselves, and to make space for a new narrative, one that is more in line with our dreams and our deepest beliefs. From there, it all becomes a matter of making the right choices. Every decision we make, however small it may seem, it has the potential to take us to a whole new level of understanding, self-discovery, and freedom. It's as if every step was a piece of a puzzle that fit together to reveal a larger picture, a more beautiful and true than the things they've seen it before. This is the journey of transformation is not linear. It is made up of the small breakthroughs and setbacks, moments of doubts and clarification, but the one that really matters is to be persistent. Because at the end of the day, with the most significant impact is not on the external change, but internal change in the way we see ourselves and the world. When you immerse yourself in the innermost part of our being, we begin to realize that many of our limitations that have been built by the stories that were told by the experiences that we live in, and through the interpretations they have made. And realizing this, we have gained the power to rewrite those stories to transform our beliefs and, thus, to make room for a larger version of the authentic and free yourself. It is at this point that we begin to realize that the real revolution starts in our mind, in our hearts, and in our willingness to challenge everything we have been taught, all the things that we accept them as truth and the absolute. It's just that, in order for this revolution to take place the truth, you have to have the courage to face the most difficult, our shadows, our deepest fears, our doubts, and quiet. This is a part of one of the most challenging, because it requires brutal honesty with yourself and a willingness to confront the things that you often prefer to hide in. But it is precisely here that the growth of the real is, why, when faced with these parts of the dark, we take an important step in the direction of freedom and authenticity. And in the process, we can realize that we are not alone. There is an invisible network of support, inspiration, and the people who are in search for a better understanding and to get rid of everything that prevents you from living it to the full. These signs often come in the internal meetings of the small epiphanies that make you see the world from a new perspective, or from conversations and heartfelt that it makes us realize that we aren't so different. As well, that is all, carry internal battles, and the strength to continue comes from just the understanding of who we are together on this journey of transformation. When you think about all of this, it is clear that a change is an ongoing process, a relentless pursuit of progress. This is not a journey, but a journey of constant, where each step is given. It strengthens our mind, feeding our courage, and broadens our vision of the possibilities. And that's the move, where we learned how to turn limitations into opportunities, and that we find the true meaning of a life more in tune with our inner selves more deeply. Because, at the end of the day, it is a connection with our inner truth, and it makes all the difference, is that which gives meaning to each and every decision, every challenge, and every achievement along the way. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me." Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the journey of transformation that we are exploring is not a simple or straightforward. In fact, it takes a dive into the deepest layers of one's being, one's courage to confront the things that a lot of times we would prefer to conceal or ignore them. It is during this process that we discovered that our own limitations are those who seem to be insurmountable. They are often just a reflection of our own limiting beliefs, which have been driven by past experiences, fears, or even messages to the invisible, which comes to life. These beliefs create a sort of filter that distorts our perception of reality, causing us to believe that we are capable of, "You don't deserve it," and that it is not for us. So, at this point, it all becomes a matter of choice. Continue to live in the shadow of these limitations, or to take the decisive step forward to breaking them in, once and for all. The transformation is, in a sense, there is a change in the surface, but it is a real revolution in the house. It is when we begin to question the stories we tell ourselves, and we found out that a lot of stuff that we thought to be the absolute truth, in truth, they are only limited versions of our own story. And it is at this point that the impact is more powerful when you realize that you have the power to rewrite our history, and changing the script seemed to be written down. It causes a revolution in our mind, causing it to let us see possibilities where before you could only see the obstacles. It's like opening a window that had always been closed off, leaving the natural light to brighten up every dark corner of our minds. From this perspective, it all gets a whole new dimension. Each and every decision we take, every step we take in the direction of our dreams now has a deeper meaning. We are no longer acting out of impulse, out of fear, but out of a clear understanding of who you really are and who you want to be. This clearly gives us the strength that comes from within, a power that can't be destroyed by criticism of either external or through the obstacles that appear in your way. It is a power that is born of our authenticity and our true connection with our inner selves. And the more that we explore in this connection, the more powerful it is. The feeding of a chain of actions that lead to a transformation that echoes in every aspect of our lives. But of course, it is not without its challenges. Many of the times, we are faced with what I call the hidden truths. For those who would prefer prefer to keep hidden for fear of what we might discover about ourselves. They are the truths which, once exposed, has the potential to change everything for the better or for the worse. And this is where it comes in, the courage, the ability to face what is difficult to accept our own shadow, and therefore, to turn our weaknesses into the true sources of power and influence. Because deep down, the whole transformation is truly born of a willingness to embrace our humanity, with all its imperfections and possibilities. We know that the impact of all this is not limited to our inner world. When we can align our minds and with our inner selves, we can begin to influence the environment around us. The way in which we relate to our career choices, our actions in daily life, it starts to reflect that the new version of ourselves. And in doing so, we begin to create a sort of domino effect, where every minor decision, the authenticity of the echo in the lives of others and inspire them to strive for their own truth. And in this movement, the journey of transformation, which becomes a story of continuous, full of insights and life lessons, in which each step takes us deeper into the understanding of who we really are and the impact we can make to live according to our deepest core. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the quest for true connection with our inner selves often says something that we would prefer to keep hidden away: the pain the older, the fears that seem to be insurmountable, the beliefs that have shaped our view of the world. But let's take a look at these aspects. We begin to realize that they are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth. Each and every difficulty, every fear, it is now a sort of portal to a new version of ourselves, the one that you understand, accept, and integrate all of these feelings rather than running away or suppress them. This gives you the freedom to place, with a lightweight feel that can only be found when we stop fighting ourselves and we begin to accept ourselves fully. On the basis of this acceptance, there should be a force to be silent, almost invisible, and that drives us to move forward with more clarity and purpose. At the same time, this is a journey of self-discovery, and transformation requires that we are aware of the behind the scenes of this is our evolution. It's the small everyday choices and the details of the invisible, which often make all the difference. A decision to devote 5 minutes to think about it in an attitude of gratitude is a shift in the way we interact with the people around you. This, seemingly simple, they have the power to create a stream from the impact, which over time leads to a revolution in our minds. And in the process, we found that the transformation doesn't just happen with the grand gestures or sweeping changes, but the consistency of the small actions that together, we build a new narrative to life. At this point, it is clear that the key is persistence, the courage to continue, even when the results seem to be far away or too small. Because you are, in fact, the whole of the transformation starts with a seed, an idea, or a decision to do something different. And in the course of time, the seed sprouts and grows and becomes a tree that is strong, its fruit to feed them all on our journey of growth. And these are the fruits, which can be the self-confidence, peace of mind, relationships, healthier you, are the one that really gives you a sense of the path that we are walking together. It is a building of the day, and it requires dedication, patience, and above all, a deep love for ourselves. And it is precisely at this point that it all connects with our ability to turn limitations into opportunities, and to embrace our own hidden truths, and to follow firmly in the search for a life that is aligned with our essence, no matter how sincere. Every step you take, every decision is a key part of this puzzle that reveals who we really are and who we can become. And when you realize this is a journey of self-discovery, it is clear that the impact of this transformation is beyond the scope of the single also reached the world around us, inspiring other souls, and also to discover their true potential. And so, this is a story of bravery, truth, and its impact continues to unfold, revealing that, in essence, we are all the protagonists of a story of transformation and evolution. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the true essence of this journey of self-discovery, which is currently in the understanding of how our everyday decisions shape not only who we are, but also for the impact that you have on the universe around us. Too often, we get lost in the routine and the expectations of the external, or in the search for validation, not realizing that the power to change our reality, it is how we choose to react to situations, thoughts, and what you eat, and the actions you take with a conscience. This is a revelation to many duckface, as it requires the courage inside you that isn't always present in the first place, but that, once awakened, he becomes a force of unstoppable change. If you think about it, we realize that the real transformation begins in the mind, and the mentality that we have cultivated. It's like a seed that, when you busy with a positive, autocompexo, and determined, blossoms in the concrete actions that have been able to create a domino effect. With each step, each decision-making that is aligned with our deepest values, it echoes through the universe in ways that oftentimes we are not able to predict. It's as if we're building a bridge between the unseen in between our inner selves and the external world, and that the bridge is held up for our daily choices, our emotions, and a more authentic and understanding that we are the co-authors of our own destiny. In this context, it is critical to understand the hidden truths are often hidden behind the limiting beliefs that that have been imposed on the course of life. These beliefs, which seem to be harmless or even required in early childhood, they can become obstacles that block our potential. Discover those hidden truths requires attention and earnest to the inside of yourself, and a willingness to question everything you were taught as absolute truth. Thus, we can demystify the concepts in the trap and open the space for a new narrative, a story that truly represents who we really are and who we wish to become. This is a journey to discover the truth hidden. It is also a day of impact. To be free from old restraints, we become living examples of the transformation can inspire others to also pursue their authenticity. It's like a chain of light that propagates, in which each individual to decide to take action with purpose, just that positively influence the environment around them. This is not just a change for a change, but a change in consciousness, to realize that with each step taken in the direction of your personal growth and the echo in the society, the culture, and in their relationship with each other, and even in the way we see the world. Over the course of the journey, it is common to encounter the challenges that seem to be the biggest of which is our strength, and when in doubt, try to install it as a silent shadow. However, these things are also a part of the process of change, since they are the ones who test our resolve and strengthen our resilience. Every crisis, every failure as a parent, revealed a learning opportunity, a chance to strengthen our way of thinking, and reaffirm our belief in the deeper. These are the scenes inside who often remain invisible to those who watch from the outside, but it makes a world of difference in the construction of a new version of yourself. And at the same time, we can see that the impact of all of this, it is not only a change in the individual, but on a whole culture. People around you will begin to notice that something different is going on, and that's the energy that we pass at a lighter, more authentic, more in line with what we truly believe to be right. That authenticity becomes infectious, and for each achievement, each of the decision to go to the heart of it, we are contributing to a collective transformation that goes well beyond the personal. It is a journey of evolution, where the impact is multiplied in ways that you may not be able to imagine it, but it certainly left an indelible mark on the history of each one of you that decide to embrace its truth with courage. In the end, it is important to understand that this road does not have a finish ultimate. The development is in a constant motion, a dance discovered and rediscovered, in which each step reveals a new layer of potential that even we didn't know. So, we went walking around, exploring the unseen, confronting our own shadow, and celebrate the light that will arise along the way. Each made a conscious decision, each time for reflection, and this is a very important part in the construction of a more real, more powerful, and more in line with what is most real to us. And then, as the day-to-day unfolding of the entire universe seems to conspire in favor of those who wish to live an authentic, because at the end of the day, the greatest change happens on the inside, and it reflects the world in ways that only the truth which has been revealed is able to express himself. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. If you've come this far, it's because I really connected with what's being shared over the content. And that, to me, shows how much of your thoughts make sense to you. You know, the one that we have learned together. It is an invitation to look within, to know that change happens from the inside to the outside, light and natural. So, if all of this is touched on in some way in your heart is here, my love, if you sign up for the channel, as it is here that the US seeks to bring a piece of content that makes no sense, it helps you to see new possibilities and to live with more authenticity. Your feedback is very, very important, so leave a comment saying, "I'm with you till the end," or "The message was for me." So, we share the energy, and it creates a connection. It is true. Oh, and don't forget to leave a like, because it shows that you value this content and strengthen the exchange of good energy that we've created here. And of course, if he was willing to continue on this journey, there's a video right here on the side, which complements this subject. Click there, and we're going to go together in the sharing of experiences, because the best is always to come. Thank you for being with me until the very end, and until the next video, more thoughts, more stories, and more opportunities for growth.